Family, this is your host Terris, and I finally made it to Damon Looks, a branch of Looking Glass Entertainment. Please join us for the December 1st recording of Spirituality, A New Perspective Wrap-Up, where we finish going over the universal laws and we talk about my views of Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoy it. Conversation. This is brought to you by Looking Glass Entertainment. And before I begin, I would like to thank Brother Oladelli and One Dynasty family for giving me the opportunity to share my story and my perspective. The topic for this evening is Spirituality, A New Perspective Wrap-Up. We're going to try to close out on this, the universal spiritual laws. We're going to try to wrap that up and go into some other definitions and topics of terms we've been using to transition. The question for this evening. We just celebrated Thanksgiving, which harkens back to the law of gratitude. I want to ask you, family, what are you grateful for? Please call in, let me know, or you can contact me on Facebook at Terris Strength Know Your Rights. I'm on Instagram and Twitter also, so please use those channels to get in contact with me. Again, we just celebrated Thanksgiving, which harkens back to the law of gratitude. Let me know, call in and let me know, what are you grateful for? I'd like to hear your comments. When you connect to the silence within you, that is when you can make sense of the disturbance going on around you. That was written by Stephen Richards. Okay? So let's talk about Thanksgiving. This past week, we celebrated Thanksgiving. It's a time for us to get together with family, see loved ones that we haven't seen in a while, deal with some family members that we don't want to see, eat a lot of delicious food, reminisce about the old times. So in a lot of families, it symbolizes getting together, seeing loved ones, talking about old times, preparing and cooking great meals, getting together and watching a football game or watching sports and everything. So it's a great time of gathering. There's another side of Thanksgiving, though, that I don't think is in our best interest to forget about and the original meaning of it. A friend of mine gave me this, and I'm gonna read this, and I'm gonna talk about it a little bit before we go into the spiritual laws. On Thanksgiving, an historical look at Thanksgiving leads to a consideration of the planetary energy or the energy of the earth in this region due to the tragedy of the time and the souls that suffered. In a way, Thanksgiving can be bittersweet for me also, because my heart goes out to the Native Americans and what they suffered and what a lot of those groups are still suffering. We're celebrating something that was very tragic for a lot of Native Americans. Their lives were changed drastically by what happened. I mean, you're talking about getting blankets as a gift from the quote-unquote pilgrims. You're talking about getting blankets from the pilgrims, and the blankets were laced with smallpox. It's one of the times that chemical warfare was first used. They were manipulated and killed and murdered in millions so that the quote-unquote pilgrims could possess their lands. And the irony of it is that we celebrate Thanksgiving, and it's around the same time that they celebrate their festivities that are part of the Native American cultures, and that's the irony of it. So, I must say, my heart is conflicted about the holiday. As much as I love seeing everybody, the origin of it symbolizes death and destruction and pain, and lower energy, lower level activities. Right now, the previous host was talking about a lot of the killing that's going on right now. And, this world or this realm is laced with violence that we have to navigate through. You know, it's part of the dark elements or the shadow elements that are a part of this realm that we have to navigate through. And I have to go back to talking about the school that we're all a part of and how we make sense of what's going on. And I just want to remind you, family, that there's only two emotions. It's love and fear. And there's a lot of fear in this realm. And if we're going to, and again, if we're going to navigate through it, we're going to have to raise our own vibrational frequencies. We need to pray for the Native Americans at this time. It's great that we celebrate with our families and we have a good time, but we can't also lose fact that historically, this holiday is about pain, destruction, annihilation, control, you name it. That's what it's about. And I just don't think, I think that in our evolution, we can't forget that. And so if we all can make a donation to any Native American agenda or any institution to donate to their causes to help alleviate their pain bodies, I think that's something that we should look into. So I just want to say that in terms of Thanksgiving, this is this is how I feel. I know we all have the occasional drunk uncle that comes to Thanksgiving and wrecks everything that we have to deal with, that we see once a year. And everybody has all types of dramas and things. And going through our life, we have to deal with the universal laws. And I'm sure a lot of us were tested during this holiday. And we have more holidays coming up. This time of year for a lot of people tends to be very depressing if they don't have their families or they aren't with their families and everything. But we can't forget the destruction and devastation that this holiday is basically, that is based upon. It's just part of it. And we've all gone through that. As an African American, or if you're Jewish, you can relate to some of these things. So we just need to be sensitive of that and remain cognizant and say a prayer for the Native Americans that they find peace and they figure out a way to live the life that they want to live and to move forward. And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, family. So we're going to finish getting together. We're going to finish talking about the universal laws. So when you think about Thanksgiving, the one that comes to mind is the spiritual law of gratitude. So I'm going to talk briefly about that, and we're going to wrap up these spiritual laws and go into some more definitions and other topics that's going to transition us to, getting deeper into the different aspects of this realm. I just want to remind us all that we are all eternal. And these laws and these definitions I'm going to talk to tonight are a reminder that we are eternal. And at times, things may appear to be out of control. There's a method to it. There's a cleansing that's going on right now. And we have to be cognizant of that. We just need to focus on while we are here and try to love as much as possible. Try to love everyone and everything as much as possible. That's how we eradicate what's going on, and that's how we eradicate the fear. So the first spiritual law of gratitude, we're going to talk about the spiritual law of gratitude. Gratitude means giving thanks from your heart. When you do this, energy flows from your heart and activates certain responses from other people, as well as the universe. When you are totally grateful to a person for something they've done, that person feels the energy of thanks and is so overjoyed by it that they want to give you more. When you send out heartfelt thanks to the universe for the blessings you have received, the divine energy lovingly responds by giving you even more blessings. Heartfelt gratitude is a key to abundance. It unlocks the great resources of the universe. Judgment and criticism are the opposite or polar of gratitude and appreciation. Genuine gratitude and appreciation heals. When you appreciate something and are grateful for it, you are focusing on it, and so by the spiritual law of attention, it increases and multiplies. When we realize that we are sent challenges because they help us to grow, we alter our attitude towards them. Within every challenging situation is the gift of a lesson. Our task is to learn the lesson and appreciate what it has taught us. If you want your life to become happier, healthier, and more abundant, keep a gratitude journal. Every day, write down a few things you are thankful for. You will find yourself looking for good things to record in it, and you will automatically become more positive and appreciative. Attitudes which activate the law of gratitude. Be positive and appreciative. Count your blessings. Be joyful. When you glow with happiness, you are appreciating what you have. Remember the good things about a person and people in general. Focus on the good in every situation. Give praise generously. Use the words thank you generally. Be loving and kind. Recognize your own magnificence. Celebrate life and be happy. Gratitude brings to you untold blessings from the universe. So that was the spiritual law of gratitude. Again, please call in on air now from Long Beach, California. Call in 605-562-0444. Press pin number 7414519 £1 to listen, *2 to join the conversation. The question for this evening is: we just celebrated Thanksgiving, which harken back to the law of gratitude. What are you grateful for? Please call in. All right. So the next law that we're going to talk about is the spiritual law of blessings. When you bless someone, you are invoking the universal spiritual law of blessings and directing divine energy towards them. When this is done with genuine intent, a shaft of divine white light is transferred into the person you are blessing. Raising your hand in the direction of the person you wish to bless directs the blessing towards them. Blessings ushers in positive energy. When you say bless you to someone when they sneeze, you are wishing for divine energy to enter them so that they become healthy. Bless your work and it will increase and be filled with joy. Bless people around you and they will be happy and fulfilled. Bless your plants and they will grow abundantly. Bless your home and it will be a place of peace. Bless your body and it will become a beautiful temple for your spirit. You can request blessings for others as well as yourself. Bless everyone and fill them with divine energy, and you yourself will be open to the blessings of the universe. That was the spiritual law of blessings. How often do we give people our blessing? When is the last time you blessed someone? Right? So that's the spiritual law of blessing. All right, so on to the next law. This is the spiritual law of decree. When you initial the law of decree, the might of the universe is aligned behind it. Affirmations and prayers are repeated. Decrees are made only once. Examples of decrees. By divine decree, in the name of God under grace, I invoke the violet flame. To transmute now every negative thought, belief, pattern, condition, attachment, or alliance that I have made. It is done. In the name of God and all that is light under grace, I decree that all vows made in past lives or this one which do not serve the divine plan on earth be rescinded and released. So be it. By divine decree in the name of God under grace, I now call forth a pure white column of white light to bring unconditional love of the Christ consciousness to earth. It is done. A decree is akin to making a demand of the universe. Caller 1 in the queue. I think I have a caller in the queue. Caller 1, who am I speaking with?
Hey, Terris, it's Jerry Petito. How are you, sweetie?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Miss Petito?
I'm doing great.
I hope you feel better.
I'm listening. Thank you. And you know what? God is good because whenever He wants me to rest, He makes me get sick. And I actually get happy. So I'm here listening to you, and tonight's awesome because I got to hear you talk. I love you. I want to say something about what you were saying about the Native Americans.
Yes.
About 2.5 years ago or so, someone contacted me, maybe 3 years ago, and said, can you do a show for the Native Americans? I've done several since.
Wow.
I was blessed beyond. Listen, I got to meet Ohitika. She is pretty much 100% Native American, if there's such a thing. But her bloodline, she came to my home. I got to meet her and her younger daughter, and they gave me the Doctrine of Discovery. They said, please watch this. They gave me some other things to read. What I learned, I can't read the poem tonight because it's like 4 pages.
Oh,
but
wow.
if you want, I could email it to you. You send me your email. I wrote everything there is to know about the Doctrine of Discovery, the Native Americans, Christopher Columbus, what he did to these poor people. I mean, unbelievable.
I wish you could read it tonight.
Honestly, I'm sorry?
I said, I wish you could read it tonight. I really do. So apropos.
I mean, I have the poem. It's a long poem. Is that okay?
Sure. Come on. Do your thing, Terry.
Okay. All right. all right. Hold on a minute. I have it. I usually have it right up here. Let me make sure I didn't get rid of it off of here. Okay. So I'll read it. Okay, baby.
Okay. Do it.
Let's go. Okay. Wow. I didn't expect to do that. Okay. Sacred Pipe. It's part 1 and part 2. I'm going to read it as quick as possible. Sacred Pipe. There's so much to say. Where do I start? I just never knew we played such a part in causing this pain to our very first mate. Instead of showing them love, we exercised hate. We've taken their land. To them it belongs. Corporate America needs to right what's been wronged. We went in their homes and stole all their kids, put a price on their scalp to the highest of bids. To women, the women were sterile, but not by their choice. We drugged them and finally silenced their voice. The kids were brought out of their homes to a foreign place and lived like drones. Most never saw their families again. They were raped and abused and tortured by men. Their goal, as I know it, is sickening to me, to put an end to our natives. How can this be? I just cannot fathom that this still goes on. Corporate America is Hitler. I thought that was gone. Carlisle Indian Industrial School was where these kids were brought. Their hair was cut. Their names were changed. They were threatened when they were taught. No longer can you be the native you are. You will be groomed to our liking and left with a scar. This horrible school with this motto they ran: kill the Indian, save the man. Over 500 treaties were meant for their aid. As treaties were broken, more treaties were made. Over 500 treaties were promised to them. In 2016, you would think that would end. But again, it goes on. As I'm sharing the news, we need to help stop this, or Dakota Pipeline they'll lose. Even the term that we always use, we thought it was funny, made us amuse, Indian giver, is now making sense. I'll tell you the meaning in their defense. Everything we gave them was already theirs. We took it all back, and nobody cares. Their water source depends on this. Without this access, their lives are at risk. I never knew Redskins meant what it did. To most Americans, the meaning was hid. It just meant color, we all just thought. Not being scalped, their head was bought. To make matters worse, to break them once more, their burial grounds were ripped up. It ripped at their core. Standing Rock is our land, not ours to steal. Corporate America needs to bow down and kneel. Even the peace pipe has a real name, the sacred pipe. It is called to make your thoughts tame.
Wow.
Now I'll go into part 2. When I wrote Sacred Pipe, after learning what I did, learning what I didn't know, to us so much was hid. Special thanks I must share to my friends who sought me out, made me aware of horrible things, things that some of us still doubt. I'm going to pass on all the names. I don't need to do that. Okay. The honor and pleasure was mine to have met Ohitika, this brave woman, 100% Native American descent. The insight I was given, these people just don't know. It's affected me so much. Corporate America is now my foe. The Doctrine of Discovery is a movie loan to me. Unmasking Domination Code is one we all must see. Let's stop and think what we were taught, led to from our government about what wars were fought. Let's see, how do I want to, I'll just read what's important. Christopher Columbus is part of the blame. He didn't discover, he stole when he came. He spread Christianity, believe me, not so. He worked for the devil, believe me, I know. He came to the natives whose land he invaded. They welcomed this friend, with his trust he persuaded. They had no clue what was in store. They soon would die, and so much more. Let's see. The Vatican houses documents still today that they hold true. To dominate and dehumanize, this is not what God would do. They took his word and twisted it to serve their evil needs. They claim that they are holy. They've planted tainted seeds. The government and their church declared war upon these folks. Murdering and starving them was the beginning of the hoax. A non-Christian world they wouldn't have, although Christians they're not. Conform to them or you will die, beheaded, sliced, or shot. Invade and capture and subdue all pagans that they found. They're now our slaves for our gain. Their lives to us are bound. All their possessions are ours. Their kids we have taken. Their independence existence has now been forsaken. The 15th century Pope Alexander VI was he. Let's spread the gospel by means of war. What a great idea this will be. The Domo effect was also in play, forcing submission and told what to say. Columbus believed he had this right to discover and dominate all land in sight. The worst part about this holy scripture he used, Genesis 1:28 is the verse he abused, to dominate all creatures that creep along the earth, considering them animals, they are humans from God at birth. The massacre at Wounded Knee, 425 people died that day, slamming babies on rocks while laughing and singing, hooray. Then they hung bodies waiting to burn in groups of 13 alive and waiting their turn. 13 men signified Jesus and his men killing in God's name. This soon became a trend. Here's the sad part, Terris. The 1950s still upheld what the Catholic Church had started. Indian verses, U.S. Supreme, today still disregarded. The papal bulls, as noted today, were written by popes because they have to say. 1992 was not so long ago. In court, we tried to revoke them, and once again, the court said no. Nullus is another term I think that you should hear. It deems the natives null and void, non-existent, far and near. Christian civilization is a term I never knew, forcing you to now succumb. If not, we're killing you. 20 medals of honor those soldiers were given for the people they tortured. They should now be rescinded. God says he's fair. In his judgments you earn. The Catholic Church and the government in hell they will burn. There you go.
There you have it, Terry. Terry, thank you. Champion, legend, thank you.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
Unbelievable. Let's make a donation to Native Americans, family. I think we have a caller, caller 2 on the phone. But thank you, Terry, for that. Thank you. Caller 2?
Man, you know what? Yeah, this is caller number 2. How you doing, sir?
How you doing, Huni Bak Atum? How was your holiday?
Man, it went well, you know, and I just give thanks to all in all for so much divine truth that you have been bringing me, so many of the listening audience, and what can I say about that Hall of Famer, Jersey Jewel,
Hey.
Jerry Petito, man?
Hey.
He actually just dropped the bomb right there.
Of
man.
course.
Wow.
Yeah, of course.
So that did that, man. And I definitely want to big up to you on your subject matter tonight. You're constantly growing, and your audience is growing. And, you know, I just love your show, man. I love everything that you're doing for OME and all of us, man. You're really, really like nourishment for the soul. I just want to let you know that, man.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
And I also, you're very, very welcome. I also want to say congratulations, Terris, on your OME syndication station, All-Time Connection record.
Thank you.
This is your 8th all-time and your 7th consecutive. I mean, you keep bringing the bar like this, man. I'm like, dang. But it's a great thing,
Thank
man,
you.
because you're part of OME, man.
Right.
You're part of Legacy, and you're definitely going to be up in our story as one of the greatest that ever did it on broadcast radio. So keep doing what
Thank you. I have great leaders. There's great people around me, so I have great people to teach me. So thank you very much for those words, Brother Huni. All right, family. That was very powerful by Miss Petito. And it just harkens back to what I was saying earlier and everything. And let's say a prayer for the Native Americans. Let's just say a prayer. Let's just say a prayer for them, and keep them in our prayers, and say 2 prayers for them in terms of what's been going on. That's what we ought to be commemorating on this holiday. All right, but very powerful. We want to get back to these laws and wrap this up. So the last law that I read was the spiritual law of decree. All right. The next one is the spiritual law of faith. All right. Faith is a quality of such high frequency that it transcends the lower laws and makes the impossible possible. Faith allows miracles to take place. The universal spiritual law of faith is simple. If you have total faith in an outcome, it will come about. To the extent that you doubt, you allow absolute, implicit, total trust in the divine. You know that whatever is for the greatest good will happen. Faith takes away fear. Faith means constantly listening to your inner guidance and intuition. Blind faith implies giving away your trust without a foundation for it. Blind faith is merely hope. Okay, I want to read that again, family. Blind faith implies giving away your trust without a foundation for it. Blind faith is merely hope. Confidence is faith in self. If you have a foundation of self-esteem and worth, you will be a relaxed and easy person to be with. No one can undermine you. No one can undermine you for what you will trust. You will trust in your own ability, and others will intuitively trust you. Faith is the foundation for success, manifestation, prayer, and decrees. And when you have faith in a vision, it must succeed. Faith is the greatest power there is. We have another caller in the queue. Caller 3. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, yes. Hi, Terris. This is Andrea Kaczynski.
How are you doing, Miss Kaczynski? How are you doing? Let's see.
I'm doing good. I'm enjoying your show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I really have enjoyed it the last few weeks. I've been listening in. I wanted to say thank you tonight for honoring the Native Americans because you actually have Native American. My grandmother, she was full Native American, and I'm fourth, and then my father was half. And my grandmother, she actually, when she grew up and married my grandfather, it was really hard back in that time. She was actually beat terribly until they had to put a metal plate in her head from being beat so hard because of her way to marry my grandfather that was a white man. And then, of course, my father was born, and then he married my mother, which my mother looked, I don't know if you know who Lucille Ball is. She had red hair and a very fair complexion. And then my father was very dark and dark hair, and then had us children. So I'm originally from Tennessee, so it was very hard growing up during those times. A lot of discrimination, and so I learned to be thankful. You were talking about thankful. I noticed when I was in certain circumstances, of course, my father, he would always teach us, to ignore people if they don't know what they're doing, they're saying, because they would always say, well, whose children are those? Because, I didn't look the same as my dad and my mother, too, because we come from a mixed family. Okay. And so I learned to be thankful for, when people would say things, I learned even as a child how to turn things around and say, even when we were being dined at a restaurant when my great-grandfather died and we went back to where they still had a reservation, and they had came to the table. When my dad left the table, they did not want to serve us. And when my dad came back, the lady had actually started to bring in some food, and I said, "Thank you, I appreciate that." And she started to speak to me, and just by me, thanking her. And I was probably like 20 at that time, and I learned throughout my life as I got older to appreciate gratefulness and turn people's hearts around a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And people see me now, they would not know my heritage unless they asked me. But I experienced that a lot as a child, and I learned gratefulness, how it can just start the conversation and change a person's attitude towards you totally. Not all the time, but sometimes. So I practice gratefulness every day, myself. For one, I get up every day, say it's a great day to be alive. And I try to remind people of that every day. And I appreciate you bringing that up about the Native Americans, because a lot of people don't talk about that, much anymore. And, I didn't hear it a lot until I got until probably my late and early 20s. I got to know more about my heritage and how bad it really was for, like, my grandmother. And for my dad, some too. It was, pretty rough. And they actually moved out of the state they lived in because, they were in fear of their lives and stuff.
Wow.
And that's how I was born in Tennessee. So I just want to say thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
And talking about that tonight. And I enjoy your show.
Thank you. And thank you for those comments. Thank you very much. I think we have another caller in the queue. Caller 4. Who am I speaking with?
All right, first of all, there's a little bit of background noise on your line there. So we want to make sure that that's straight. Get closer to the mic, Terris. Okay.
The mic is right in my face.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Caller, you're on the line right now with Terris Shrimp and Know Your Rights.
Hello?
Hi, how are you? This is Antonia Vance, and I just wanted to say I really am enjoying your show, because I used to hear the thing about faith, hope, and charity, and to hear how the correlation that it made with both Andrea and also with Jerry, in order for them to tell you some inspiring stories surrounding the Indian the Indian culture and the background. It really was something that I really had to say. I really think they contributed a whole lot to your show.
Absolutely.
As well as the topics you covered, like decree and faith, and
yes.
I forgot the other one.
Yep, law of faith.
Yep. I'm sorry. It was decree, faith,
and blessings.
Thirdly,
blessings. The law of blessings. And gratitude, yes.
Right. And that, all of it, blessings was my favorite. But they all definitely have a lot to do with the way of life out here. So thank you for at least, asking the people to come on so they can tell their stories. And so I just wanted to let you know I appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. And I thank you for your show and the content of what you're talking about. Again, I feel it's related. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So, wow, that's powerful. I'm getting powerful comments from other hosts on the show. So, the next law is the spiritual law of grace. Okay, so we're going to go over the spiritual law of grace. Grace is a divine dispensation of mercy. It dissolves karma, creates miracles, and can change matter. Our soul has accepted the opportunity to incarnate on this planet to learn about and experience emotions and the physical body. We also have free will in order to create our own life in the place where every thought, word, and deed manifests. We can invoke the universal spiritual law of grace to transmute our debts, change emotional feelings, heal relationships, and the physical body. However, we must be ready to receive it. We created all of our situations with our consciousness, and we must learn the lessons before we ask for grace. We can offer grace to others through our compassion, mercy, empathy, forgiveness, and unconditional love. Whenever we open our hearts to another, we too receive an inflow of divine love. Compassion, empathy, mercy, unconditional love, and forgiveness are divine qualities which confer grace. Every time you open your heart with compassion, the love emanating from you grants someone else grace. A change of attitude may take place, or the release of a deeply held fear, or even of physical healing. The more grace we offer, the more in turn we receive. I think I have another caller in the queue. Caller, who am I speaking with?
Hi, Brother Terris.
Hey, who is this?
Hi, this is the Bessie.
Oh, of course. How you doing, Sister Bessie?
Hey, my brother, you bringing it, and I love it. And I want to say to Jerry Petito, she did very well on that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I wanted to say that I am enjoying your show and your subject. One thing that I wanted to say is that people might get angry with me for saying what I'm saying, but this is one reason, after listening to Jerry explain the history of the Native Americans, and many of our people have forgotten how many of them were destroyed in the millions.
Absolutely.
And for me, this is one reason why I cannot celebrate.
I get it.
And I think about all the turkeys that had to die for you to sit down with your family on this day that you're celebrating. As we know, as she said, Columbus was a lie.
Yep.
And basically, the holiday is a lie.
Yep.
So, I look at it as like this. They should change it to Family Day. Because blood was shed. Blood was shed.
Yep.
Millions of bloods were shed in this country. And we sit at the table and eat and celebrate the death of many people. And this is the reason why I do not celebrate it. And I refuse to. We don't go back and look at the truth of the crimes that has been committed on this planet.
You're right.
So I just want to say that I hope people listen and pray for the Native Americans.
Absolutely.
And try to feel and research the atrocities that happen to these people before you sit down and celebrate again. And I love you, brother, and congratulations. You're wonderful, and I'm going to continue to listen.
Thank you.
Love you very much.
Thank you very much. And those are some very powerful words by you. And I pretty much agree with you. I do. That's why I said I'm in conflict about it, family. Really. And I think we need to take Sister Bessie's words to heart and really look at this thing differently. Because if we're going to heal the pain or help to heal the pain that's in this world, we got to go back to our history and address some of these things and help make some changes. We just have to do that, If not, we're kind of perpetuating this. We're lowering the energy, and we're helping to create more pain. So I want to thank Sister Bessie for those words. They were powerful words. I want to thank all of the hosts. They were all very powerful. I want to finish up the spiritual law of grace and then move on. Forgiveness is another divine quality which dissolves and transmutes negative blocks. It results in emotional, attitudinal, and physical healing taking place for both the giver and the receiver. Grace allows healing to occur because the high frequency vibrations of love transmute the lower vibrations of pain and fear. We create karma with our attitudes. All ill feeling and disputes are the karmic consequences of egotistical attitudes. When you are ready to be understanding and compassionate, or are ready to forgive, the angels lead you to someone or a situation that can help you release your karma. Angels work with grace, constantly whispering to us to think, do, or say that which will dissolve our negative karma. They try to help us forgive our sins and dissolve a backlog of karmic debt. The more you open your heart to welcome strangers, to let go of anger, to care for the sick and senile, the hungry and homeless, the more grace pours into the planet. Every time you pray for another or help someone with love, the planet becomes more filled with divine light. The universal spiritual law of grace is the divine mercy that sets people free. I want to say that one more time. The universal spiritual law of grace is the divine mercy that sets people free. There you have it. This is the last spiritual law, family. Is this caller 6 in the queue? Brother?
Good evening to everybody. Good evening, Terris.
Yes.
This is Sheevas from the Sheevas Show.
Jesus, how are you doing?
Good evening to everybody who joined, everybody listening, all of the other speakers of the O&E Dynasty family, and to Brother O. I want to congratulate you as well on your 8th all-time record and your 7th consecutive.
Thank you very much.
And much peace to you, my brother.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
To your family, and great compassion to you. And honor to you for bringing awareness through what the past generations and some that are still left in flesh and blood are enduring. I'll paraphrase what was just written. To find peace in our hearts is to not dwell. To find peace in our hearts is not to remain in the bloodshed. To find peace in our hearts is to have understanding of the soul and where we are today. To have peace in our hearts is to look into one's mirror and face oneself. To have peace in our heart is to not dwell in what the way of the world is and what it was. To not dwell. To have peace in our heart is to use our imagination, to be within our hearts, and to have full understanding and use the wisdom of where we are today to continue making the world a safe haven and to remake the world in peace, unity, and harmony. To have peace in our heart is for us to continue to come together, those who make the alignment, and have an open heart and a sound mind to do so, to move forward in God's way, in God's love, God's intelligence, and God's word. From here to the heavens, in peace shall we stand. Thanks, y'all. Have a powerful night.
There you go.
Oh, and I actually freestyled that. I was not reading that. I said it from my heart. So
wow.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love y'all.
That's impressive, Jesus. Thank you for popping in. Thanks for joining the show. Thank you for those powerful words. What an awesome night. The fact that this station is so conscious about these things. I'm honored to be a part of it. The last law, family, and there's been weeks of this. The spiritual law of one, and this totally supports what Jesus just talked about and all the other great hosts that called in. It's a reminder that we are all one. How can we be okay with one of us is in pain? How can we be okay with that? The spiritual law of one. The universal spiritual law of one is about accepting everyone and everything as they are, without judgment. This includes the self. On earth, we experience dark and light. This is the duality which comes from the free will which we experience on earth. Beyond the fifth dimension, there is only light. Wherever we are, all is perfect. Duality is merely a learning experience to expand our light. When we live the spiritual law of one, we create bridges by looking for the commonality in each other. Just as you were invited to be here for this learning on earth, so are animals, insects, trees, and plants. All are learning and evolving. You are entitled to your space just as an animal is entitled to his territory. If your kitchen is overrun with ants, first talk to the higher self or the oversoul of the ants and remind them that this is your territory. You ask them to move to a log. You ask them to move to a log. You ask them to move to a log in the garden or some safe place outside. If they ignore two warnings, tell them that you will have to return them to the light if they do not honor your space. If they are outside your home, then you do not have the right to kill them. Honor trees and plants by telling them with a thought that you are about to prune them. Act with harmlessness always. When you understand the law of one, you accept your own divinity. You start listening to your own intuition, and you become a co-creator in your own life. And I think now is Ngozi's time. This has been a powerful show. Ngozi?
You know what's funny? We had a lot of people come on this show tonight that were intelligent. And, we're giving honor tonight to the great Elvis Fitzgerald. And you're getting ready for the only honor. I just want to play a track. And it's funny how life is these days. It's like anything goes. It's really weird. So,
Yeah.
to honor, all the folks out there that listen to us tonight on a constant basis, that love us, we want to make sure that everybody understands. Does anything go? Hey, Terris, does it really?
Don't think so.
syndicated Storm of Desire for letting new host of the year tomorrow night. And then the big question, right? Who won the O&E all-time connect? The O&E syndicated station host of the year, right? You won't know till tomorrow night. We have a special mystery narrator tomorrow. They will be here. We have a person that's going to present the only host of the year. They'll be here.
Muted.
And I'm very proud of what's going on. And what more can we do tomorrow night? Antonio Bass will be presented by Sister Bessie DeShrusa. And then I'll be presented by my son, John Marion Goldie. And then Janet Cedar will be presented by her daughter, Tiffany Shinto. And then Jesus Power will be presenting the award to Cave Storm Poetry, our Preaching Design. And then you just don't know what's going to happen. So join us tomorrow night for the second annual O&E Honors, presented by Looking Glass Entertainment. Tomorrow night, 9:30, the only show tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on these O&E stations. And of course, congratulations to Terris on his 8th O&E syndicated station all-time connection record and 7th consecutive. Outstanding work by a rookie coming on this year in 2019. And of course, Beverly Nations advertising through O&E, which is on the W Goes Enterprise. You can reach the court at www.lookingglassentertainment.wordpress.com, as well as the Gozy Primetime One at Beverly.com. You're on Gozy Time over Twitter and Instagram. On the W Goes Pinterest and Google+. On the W Malay Goes Facebook, as well as our business page, Know Your Rights, as well as the historic Beverly Nation Online Radio. Any comments, suggestions for a wonderful program tonight? Lay, goes with my and gmail.com. I am your mother and father's favorite producer. Philadelphia Malay Goes. Hey, good night. Good luck to all the folks out there on Force Radio. And support us on a constant basis tonight. This is the 2,140th episode of O&E Syndicated Stations. And now, the champion himself,
Unmuted.
Terris. You had 3 minutes left to go in this program.
Family, I want to thank all the hosts for their fantastic comments tonight on this topic. It shows how much O&E gets it, and I just want to give them thanks for that. And I just want to remind us all, family, that we are one. And just like families, we fight, we bicker, we cut up, but we must remember that this is school. That this is school, and we must focus on raising our frequencies. Okay, it's that important. Okay, so I want us to keep that in mind. I want us to focus on these laws, and I want us to bless each other and pray for each other. And again, do something in some way to contribute and to honor the Native Americans at this time. This is something we